напрямку позиція гармата Д-30. Противник почав наступати. Ми відпрацювали, відбили штурм.
Гармата!
Since March, during the battles for the village of Shevchenko near Pokrovsk, the enemy has lost more than 1,100 infantrymen killed and wounded. This was reported by the press service of the 425th Separate Assault Regiment Skala. The capture of the village of Shevchenko allowed the enemy to get closer to Pokrovsk. To prevent a further offensive, Ukrainian forces launched an assault on the village on March 3, 2025. At that time, according to intelligence, there were up to 300 invaders in Shevchenko. First, tanks of the Skala regiment targeted the enemy. After that, reconnaissance groups on ATVs approached the enemy positions and cleared the approaches, opening the way for heavy armored vehicles, IFVs and tanks. It was then that active hostilities began to liberate the village. The clearing of Shevchenko lasted 6 days. The fiercest battles were fought for the two-story buildings, the school, and the Palace of Culture, where the enemy set up the main defense points. On March 9th, the main part of the settlement was liberated, and reinforcement groups were brought in. Since then, the enemy's counterattacks have been ongoing for over a month. On April 3rd, it was reported that aerial reconnaissance personnel of the Skala regiment engaged in close combat with a Russian sabotage and reconnaissance group that had infiltrated Ukrainian rear positions to target UAV operators. The group of Russian saboteurs tried to disguise themselves as Ukrainian servicemen. They wrapped themselves in yellow ribbons imitating the markings of the defense forces, and then infiltrated deep into Ukrainian positions in the Pokrovsky direction. Several groups of Ukrainian UAV operators were working in the rear. As soon as it became known about the enemy's breakthrough, they reacted quickly. A 48-year-old serviceman with the call sign, Ecologist, along with 2 other operators, took up an assault rifle and went to help his comrades, while other operators provided air cover with drones. Ukrainian FPV drones began actively targeting the Russian saboteurs, forcing them to take cover in a building. This allowed 3 Ukrainian soldiers to approach and throw grenades at the enemy position. After a direct hit in a Russian dugout, a Russian soldier decided to surrender. While following the Ukrainian drone, the Russian soldier noticed the Mavis lying on the roadside and, with the consent of the drone operator, picked it up, bringing the Ukrainian soldiers a gift. In several sectors of the front, more Russian soldiers are choosing to surrender rather than continue fighting. Poor conditions on the battlefield are a major factor. Many Russian units are operating with outdated equipment, limited ammunition, and almost no medical support. Living conditions in forward positions are extremely harsh, with reports of soldiers lacking basic supplies like food, clean water, and winter clothing. Morale continues to collapse as frontline troops feel abandoned by their commanders, who are often far behind the front lines and disconnected from the realities on the ground. In some cases, entire groups of Russian soldiers have surrendered after being cut off from resupply or left without clear orders. Ukrainian forces have also expanded I Want to Live programs, offering safe ways for Russian troops to lay down their arms. Combined with heavy casualties and little trust in their leadership, many Russian soldiers are deciding that surrender is the only way to survive. It's a growing problem for Moscow, and one that's slowly eroding their ability to sustain offensive operations. Ukrainian loitering munitions, guided by Shark drones, successfully strike Russian Pantsir-S 1 air defense systems, Kupol radars, and Buk M3 missile systems. The 14th Separate Unmanned Systems Regiment of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, one of the most effective drone units, continues to destroy Russian equipment with precision strikes. The command to battle can be given at any moment. The crew of a 122mm D-30 howitzer from the 3rd Operational Brigade is carrying out its mission in the Pokrovsk sector.
Готовий. 451. Плюс зменшений. Готовий.
Ми знаходимося на Покровському напрямку. Позиція гармата Д-30. Противник почав наступати. Ми відпрацювали, відбили штурм.
Гармата!
Самі бачили, тут кожну секунду може бути команда прийти до бою. Тобто ти завжди на чеку, що вдень, що вночі. Гармата!
Trump proudly claims that his friends made billions during the tariff panic, as one does when chaos becomes profitable. For context, in 2024, Charles Robert Schwab, founder and chairman of the Charles Schwab Corporation, was worth $10.78 billion. By early 2025, Forbes had him at $11.2 billion, comfortably sitting at 203rd on the world's rich list. Not bad for riding out a little trade drama.
This is Charles Schwab. It's not just a company, it's actually an individual. And he made $2.5 billion today, and he made $900 million. That's not bad, because he's in financial. I've always been.
German manufacturer Rheinmetall is massively expanding its ammunition production. The production capacity of 155mm artillery shells will increase 15-fold by 2027 compared to the level at the outbreak of the war in Ukraine in 2022. Production of 120mm caliber ammunition for battle tanks will increase fourfold. It is also noted that at the new 155mm ammunition factory in Unterlüss, built in just 13 months, the first ammunition is expected to be produced as early as April-May 2025. The factory will eventually manufacture some 200,000 artillery shells a year. France plans to test its own missile system. It is intended to be an alternative to the American HIMARS MLRS. Defense News learned that the missile system is to be tested for the first time in 2026. The new system should hit a target at a range of 150 kilometers. The French General Directorate of Armaments is developing it in cooperation with the Safran and MBDA consortia, as well as Thales and Ariane Group. The multiple launch rocket systems in service with the French military are no longer new, and there is more and more talk in the country about replacing them with domestic versions rather than those purchased abroad. The decommissioning of the LRU, American M270 MLRS, is approaching, and at this stage the issue will be to maintain capabilities, France said. In 2024 to 2030, France has planned to allocate 600 million euros for a missile and artillery program called Frappe Longue Portée Terrestre, or FLPT for short. It covers the purchase of at least 13 MLRs by 2030 and 26 by 2035. The long-range tactical strike capability is essential, and it is a niche that needs to be filled, said French Army Chief of Staff General Pierre Schill. There is currently no equivalent to HIMARS in Europe, and European armies that have been procuring rocket artillery in recent years have either chosen the American MLRS, the Pulse launcher from Israel's Elbit Systems, or the Chunmoo from South Korea's Hanwha Aerospace. Elbit is working with KNDS on a Europeanized version of Pulse. And in 2023, Germany's Rheinmetall and Lockheed Martin joined forces to develop the GMARS system. At the same time, in 2024, MBDA and Safran teamed up to create the Thundart-guided artillery projectile.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.